Hamaskil. He had explained something with a moshel, with an allegory. Two brothers inheriting a piece of property, and they still have to earn a wage to be able to live, to support themselves. 180. So he had said, the wise brother, what does he do? That he works his regular job during the day, earns a wage. At night, whatever time he has, he invests in the property to cultivate the property. And as time goes on, he takes off a little bit of the money. He lives very frugally. And eventually, the field itself is brought to a level that it's able to produce grain or whatever it is. And eventually, so what was his focus? To get the field up and running and that should produce produce. The lazy brother, what did he do? Or the foolish brother, he worked, he just ignored the field. It became desolate, it grew weeds, the fence broke, everything else at the end of the day. And rather, after work, investing time in the property, he just rested, relaxed, spent all the money, and everything, it went into total disaster, the property. So what is the lesson we have to learn? What is life? Also, we have responsibilities, but what is the main focus? The main focus is the objective. To try to take off time to be able to invest in what we're here for. He says, the intelligent person, the wise person, when you delve into this allegory, you reflect on all the aspects of the end. Asher he beso bemes, that's your true residence. If you take a look in the Ramak, he cites many sources that every person has a residence in Olam Haba. What is that residence comprised of? We studied many years ago the Nefesh HaChaim. We studied it twice. Nefesh HaChaim says, what is Olam Haba? Is there a place called Olam Haba? Is there a location called Gehenim? Every person makes his own Gehenim, and he has his own Olam Haba. How do you create it? Every mitzvah we do, it creates a spiritual energy, and that energy, the moment you do the mitzvah, detaches itself from this existence, and it's reserved, it waits for the person in Olam Haba. And all this energy which accumulates, that's Olam Haba. And when a person sins, it creates a contaminated spirit, and that contaminated spirit is removed from this existence, and majority is in Olam Haba. And that's the Gehenim, that impurity. And that's what actually saps a person's neshama. So that's Nefesh HaChaim. Mitzvah gores mitzvah, Aveira gores Aveira. He says there's a small element of that impure or pure energy which remains with the person, which actually either addicts him and draws him to do more sin, the impure energy, and the pure energy that actually encourages him to do more mitzvah. That's mitzvah gores mitzvah, Aveira gores Aveira. It's from Nefesh HaChaim. It's based on the Zohar. So the Ramak says that we have two things. You have regal garments, you have an Olam Haba, and you also have a residence. The residence is comprised of mitzvahs, and the garment we wear is also comprised of mitzvahs. The mitzvahs that we do. Okay? So that's the abode. We speak about building a residence. You know, people, they build their residences. You know, they have a house, building a house in the Hamptons, or wherever they build a house. Building a house in Israel, in Jerusalem, the holy ancient city of Jerusalem. You could see the Kotel, the holy, you could see the Holy of Holies. Okay? You may build it, you know. You may have an art collection, all the Judaic in the world, looking from the top of, you know, the old city. But the question is, are you going to see the real holy city? That's the question. So what is that? That's the real residence. That's the true house. That's the true residence that each of us has to build. That's the focus. And here you have to give it your best ability. You should focus and see it as if you're actually working on behalf of another person. You know, a person is committed to a job, you just can't take off because you realize you're going to lose your job. When you work for yourself, you have certain, you can take certain liberties. It's not the same sense of necessarily responsibility. He says, therefore, it should be like when you work for others, you only work how much? As much as you have to work, no more. Once it's time to finish the day, you leave. You have no responsibility to the employer. He says the hedonist or the fool, his behavior is just to the contrary in two areas. Firstly, his whole initiative is purely for the physical world, and he turns a blind eye in terms of his end. As Shlomo Melech writes regarding his evaluation of the hedonist, he says, he saw Oshis Libig, I paid attention, Re'isi, and I saw Lokachti Musa, and I drew a lesson from this person, how a man could just waste his life. You know, when sometimes you see a person just totally has such opportunity, and he passes on every opportunity, that actually spurs the other person, what? Not to behave in that manner. You have people, you know, gifted when they're young, and they waste their life. And by the time they come around to realize it's too late. I remember many years ago, Elliot knew this person. This person, he already was in law school at the age of 20. And decided he wants to study, comes to yeshiva, dropped out middle of law school. He was in Temple Law School. This story goes in the mid-60s. And he's 20 and comes from a very wealthy family. And he was played a number of instruments and everything, very talented. Today the man is close to 70 years old, never got married, just wasted his life. Never learned properly, never did anything, you know, it was just really one excuse after another, just wasted away his life. By the time he woke up, when he was about 50, it already was too late. Too late. He passed. Today he's on 47th Street selling a few colored stones. I mean, that's what he does. He's not well. He has a health issue. He has this issue, many issues. He was learning, but he wasn't learning. You know. He was trying to study. He wasn't. You know, either you cut out. It's like reminds me he was a certain person. Today he's a doctor in Shari Tzedek emergency room. Many years ago, he graduated medical school, and he decided he wants to learn. He was about tshuva. And he used to come to me very often for Shabbos. And and his father wasn't observant. Says, "Why don't you take your medical boards, do your residency, become a regular doctor? You want to learn afterwards." He says, "No, I have to learn." You know, he doesn't learn. So I said to him, "Why don't you go speak to Rabbi Kalatsky?" So Rabbi Yaakov says to him, "You should finish up your all your degree with whatever you have to do, then you'll learn. You get married, you sit and learn, whatever it is." So this is about 4 years after Rabbi Yaakov advised him. So he's at my house for Shabbos. I said to him, so why don't you follow? He says, "But how could I not learn?" You understand? Rabbi Yaakov Kalatsky, the Godel Ador, tells you to finish up your medical career. Your degree and everything. You want to be more, you understand it better than Rabbi Yaakov Kalatsky. You understand? It's this kind of stuff, you know? Eventually he finished, he did. He finished it up. Years later, he was married. He was about 45 years old, this person, when he got married for the first time. He was lucky he was able to get married. He was lucky he got the job in the emergency room in Shari Tzedek. Lives in Israel today. Again. So, person's focus has to be, at the end of the day, what do I have to show in my life? How did I utilize my ability? Right? Did you waste it or didn't you waste it? So that's exactly. He sees this field lying desolate with weeds, a broken fence. What had happened? Because where was the person? No, he was having a good time, and what he should have been focusing on and dressing, he didn't. It wasted it away. To be continued.